What's up, guys? Welcome back to CarnalDish. It's been so long. I hope you guys are doing okay out there. Shit is weird and super scary. I'm trying not to lose my mind, so I've been staying busy cooking and being domestic since I can't go anywhere. Anyway, today is all about these crispy chicken taquitos filled with seasoned chicken and topped with a quick guacamole and pantry salsa. Yes, pantry salsa. When you don't have actual tomatoes on hand, you pull out a can of the next best thing in freshness and you just knock it out of the park. This is a super easy and quick recipe that you can tailor to your own taste buds and use what you have on hand. Let's get started. Okay, so I have a 28-ounce can of tomatoes, crushed tomatoes. You can use whole peeled tomatoes if that's what you have. I wouldn't use tomato puree or tomato sauce for that matter. I'm going to put in some chipotles and adobo. You can use however many you like. Some onion, garlic, cilantro, some salt to taste, and some lime juice. It's pretty basic. You can do whatever you want with your own salsa. You know what you like, so don't feel like you can't add a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's no wrong way of doing it. I'm going to pulverize this in my food processor. The reason why I like to use a food processor, especially for this type of recipe, is because the blades really pulverize the cellular walls of the garlic and the onion, and those juices kind of just permeate through the tomatoes, and it makes it feel like you've been cooking this all day long, but you know that you haven't. So it's a great cheat. So you want to make sure that you taste the salsa and see if it needs a little bit more salt. If it's really acidic, you could add a little bit of sugar, just a tiny pinch to balance it, but you really shouldn't need to if you're using high quality tomatoes. Okay, now we're gonna make the guacamole. So I've got some avocados, some onion, a garlic clove. I like to add a tiny pinch of cumin and ground coriander to my guacamole. You don't have to, it's totally optional. Got some cilantro and some thick pieces of jalapeno and some lime juice, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of black pepper, and we're just gonna pulverize that. Now, you saw me use 2 whole avocados, but I ended up using 3, just so you know. Make sure you season your guac, and when it's to your liking, go ahead and scrape it into a container and pop it in the fridge and let it stay in there for about an hour. Again, you can do this the night before. Now it's time to season the chicken. Doesn't matter what kind of chicken you use, white meat, dark meat, doesn't matter. I've got some shredded chicken breast, and to that I'm adding some granulated onion, some cumin, some Mexican oregano, some taco seasoning, just plain old taco seasoning that you can find in the store. I've got some Hatch chili powder. You can use regular chili powder, any one that you want to use. And I'm going to add to that some ground coriander and some flaky kosher salt and a little bit of black pepper. Now I'm adding some adobo sauce, about 2 tablespoons. You can add more if you want. I just didn't want the mixture to be too wet. Also threw in a little dollop of sour cream. I'm going to end up using a little more later. And I'm also adding some cheese. You can use whatever kind of cheese you like. Mix it all up until it's completely incorporated and everything is moistened. Every piece of chicken is properly seasoned. And my chicken is really long. It's in really long shreds. So I'm just cutting it up because I don't want to bite into the taquito and, long pulls of chicken come out. So you can chop this with a knife, but I decided to just pull out my shears and do it that way. And I'm also going to end up throwing in a little bit of fresh cilantro just because I like it. You can leave it out. Just do whatever you want. There is no right or wrong feeling. Just make sure that you are tasting it as you go. And the only advice that I would give you is that you do not want this mixture to be like soaking wet and juicy. You just want it to be moist enough so that when you pile it together on the tortilla, it stays together. It holds itself up. Okay, so now I'm gonna warm up some store-bought corn tortillas. You can use flour tortillas, you can make homemade tortillas, whatever you want. The store-bought ones tend to be a little dry, so I just want to put a little bit of heat on them to warm them through and make them a little more pliable so that they're easier to roll and they don't like crack completely open. So you want to do this over medium heat, and you only need to do this for about 5 seconds per side. You don't want to get them toasted or anything like that. And just keep them warm, wrap them up in some foil or a kitchen towel. And let's go ahead and start rolling these chicken taquitos up. So I'm going to take a little bit of the mixture that we made, and I'm putting them on the far end of the side towards me and just making sure that I gently roll them up as tightly as I can without tearing them. And I'm just going to store them on a sheet pan in front of me, seam side down. If they crack a little bit, it's okay. You just don't want them to crack completely open. Now it's time for the fun part. We're going to fry these seam side down in 350 degree oil. You can use canola oil or vegetable oil. Just make sure that they're seam side down so that they do not explode. And what's going to happen is, as these fry, they're going to seal, and you don't need to worry about toothpicks or anything like that. So just let them go for about 3 to 4 minutes per side, and then flip them over and let them get nice and toasty on that side. And then you're going to drain them on, if you have a wired rack, that's better than putting them on paper towels. They can get soggy on a paper towel. But if you have a rack, drain them on a rack and just let that oil kind of fall through. And as soon as you pull them out, hit them with just a little bit of sea salt just to give them some flavor. Now all of the taquitos are done, and I'm just hitting the last one with a little bit of sea salt, and they're ready. They're crispy, the meat is tender and juicy and flavorful, well seasoned. We did not skimp. That cheese really gives it like a nice creaminess, which is a great contrast to the crispy shell. So I'm just plating mine up with some of that delicious pantry salsa that we made earlier, a couple of dollops of that rich guacamole, and of course, a big old dollop of sour cream. Can't forget a tiny garnish of some fresh cilantro. Y'all are gonna love this recipe. I hope you give it a try. The link is below in the description box, and I will see you later. Bye.
She make you wanna lick the plate.